Hey YouTube, we have Leonard here, bringing you guys and gals Gimai Seikatsu. Today's my stepsister. We're here, we're live. We did the reaction earlier in the day. Certainly appreciate the views and the feedback so far. And as I said in my video, as far as I'm concerned, this whole entire thing was a masterpiece. Absolutely amazing, enjoyed it. The way that the studio handled it from start to finish, it almost feels like its own conclusive work. It leaves the door open for you to assume what you want to assume to some degree, speculate on the future, but likewise feel a sense of closure if this is the end. Now, nonetheless, I do look forward to hopefully getting a season 2. I know that there's a lot of stuff that's still going to go down in the light novels, which of course I will be reading. Yeah, I guess all in all, I want to just take a look at the comments of the author, and then afterwards we'll read them. 9,500 plus words. We'll be here for a minute. Still needs to repost the reaction with this edit in here. I could, but it doesn't matter necessarily either way. I can put it as a separate video. I'd prefer not to take down the live reaction. And typically what I found is that, at least just based on the stats, a lot of people will watch the live reaction and then it falls off for the actual review portion. So if people are interested in the review, they can click on the review video. If people care about the live reaction's there. It's easier when I'm doing it in stream to keep it combined versus two separate videos. But typically speaking, people click on the live reaction based on what I see, come for the live reaction. So if anyone's interested in this, I do this because personally I enjoy it. Your fans demand this. Your fans can click on the separate video. So with that said, let's hop into this, everybody. Original author's commentary and thoughts on the TV animation Gimai Seikatsu episode 12 long. Thank you to everyone who watched episode 12. This is the final installment of the weekly thoughts on the anime from the original author's point of view. This post contains spoilers from episode 12, so please be careful if you haven't seen it yet. Finally, the final episode. Thank you so much to everyone who has watched it so far and read this commentary and feedback. I feel sad to think that this week is the end. Now, let us begin. Hajime. Why Saki and Shinjo were at the convenience store. Well, I could already figure this out, I think. Without even reading this. They have the whole study group, and I'm assuming that they go to the convenience store to pick up stuff for the study group. And of course, they were paired off to go together. This is going to be Shinjo's ability to now have some alone time, ask out Saki. Obviously, we know that Maya was in on this because of the previous conversation that she had last week. So it makes sense. I'll forget about Shinjo in 2 days. Dang. In the TV anime, they came for a quick shopping trip after the commercials without explanation. But in the original novel, it is depicted why they are shopping together. During the study session, the girls mentioned that they were getting hungry, and Saki took the initiative and offered to go shopping. Some of the girls suggested they should all go together, but Saki stopped them, saying it would be a nuisance to the shop if this made people all went together. I disagree. The remaining members of the group sent Saki out shopping, taking on the role of serving the food they had bought and lightly cooking what they had at home. At this point, Shinjo quickly said, "It would be heavy to buy food and drinks for this many people, so we need at least one more person to carry the luggage," and they agreed to go together. I'm telling you, man, I do feel bad for Shinjo. I truly do. I knew it was going to happen. It was inevitable, but I still feel bad. Even though I was calling for him to be rejected. It's like I called for his rejection, and then as I saw it go down, I was like, dang, I'm sorry. The voice of the convenience store clerk. In the ending credits, maybe some of you may have noticed that the convenience store clerk, the voice, that's me. I was made to perform, wasn't I? Really? Let me make an excuse. Seriously, I swear I wasn't being pushy. Actually, I wasn't told about this at all beforehand. On the day of the dubbing for episode 12, I was there to just supervise as the original author, as always. But after the main story was finished in the atmosphere of happily ever after, thank you for your work, suddenly sound director Konuma said, "I actually forgot to arrange for voice actors to play the mob characters. Please appear in the show to help me out." And he made me an offer. Oh, they definitely knew what they were doing. Yes, they're all here. And Amasaki-san, Nakashima-san, everyone's here. Interesting. They can all play multiple roles, right? After the farce, yeah, it's definitely a farce because you know what they were doing. That was the first time I was taken to the recording booth. At first, I was a little bit embarrassed to appear as an amateur in a world that has been so carefully crafted by professionals. But then I forgot, well, even by getting in the way, it's okay since I have Saki and Shinjo right in front of me. However, since I was going to do it, I decided to give it my all. So I learned how to hold the script from the cast members who were staring at me in the back. And I learned from the sound director, Onuma, how to make my voice sound good enough to be put on microphone. It was just one line, but I did my best. By the way, sound director Konuma gave the performance a bad review on the first take, but the second take was okay. Dang. At first, I thought I had to raise my voice and get on the microphone properly, so I said, "Thank you very much," with a high-pitched ending. When someone pointed out to me that that's the way a bar waiter would say, "Thank you very much," I realized, that's right. Now that you mention it, that's completely different. A relaxed, downturn, "arigatou gozaimasu," is what convenience store clerks say. Well, that direction alone wasn't enough to make it work. What do you mean? Speak with a loud voice and sound listless? How do you say words with a falling tone clearly so that they carry over onto the microphone? I was a bit perplexed, but I gave it a try and finally got the okay. I think it's really amazing that voice actors can continue to do things like this on such a high level. It was a good experience. And that's how we know they is a man. It was a male voice. Dang, that's funny. And honestly, I really did believe all this time that the author was indeed a woman. I personally did. Doesn't change anything, but that's what I thought. Then again, I also think about leave it to a guy to come up with his premise of a guy who falls for his stepsister. I digress. Wow, we got a whole thing about Shinjo Keisuke. I'll go up a little bit. About Shinjo Keisuke, I think he was the character who had to be handled most delicately in the TV anime. Characters that have unrequited love for their heroine are a character that tends to be disliked in romance stories from all over the world. Facts. Past and present, and in stories aimed at boys, they're often portrayed in a pitiful position as blatant Koni yaro, baka yaro. I can't even study if someone's looking at me. Imagine voicing a character I'm like Madara. Can't do anything with someone behind me. If someone's just watching me. I kind of suspected when he said last time I almost fell for Saki, but then I realized no, you created her. That's fair. I didn't think about that. Anyway, in Gimai Seikatsu, both the original novel and the TV anime intentionally avoid portraying characters as good guys and bad guys. This is partly out of respect for Yuuta and Saki, who don't want to label people as much as possible, but also because such an easy to understand portrayal is not the direction this work should be heading in. You're not wrong, James. You're not wrong. The TV anime Gimai Seikatsu thoroughly avoids forcibly suggesting a certain impression of a character to the viewer. I think it's because they believe that this leads to a sense of reality that is beyond the axis of realistic or unrealistic. I agree. Don't tell me someone's bad. Let me make my own determination. And see also complexity. Shinjo should not be portrayed as a good guy or a bad guy, which I don't think he was. As soon as he came on the screen, it's so hard. We talked about this on stream during the episode. It's so hard when a character comes up who's a rival to not dislike him. But they found a way to make me feel bad for him, like almost immediately after I was literally just like, get this trash off my screen. He has a surname. Maybe he will be relevant in the future. Highly doubt it. Oh, gosh. Shinjo should not be portrayed as a good guy or a bad guy. There's no need to portray it as unrequited love. However, he is just a male classmate who lives his own life, fell in love with Saki, and confessed his feelings to her. His life is his life after all. He didn't confess to her to affect Yuuta and Saki's relationship. Yeah, exactly. And he didn't do anything bad to her just because she rejected him. That's the kind of direction... That kind of direction was given during the recording as well. And I felt that the result was a wonderfully even expression of the tone. Agreed. By the way, there was an event in the original novel that was cut out from the TV anime. In fact, Shinjo found out during a three-way meeting that Yuuta and Saki were siblings. By the way, I only know this because of the manga, when we read the manga the other day. Like, I almost forgot that that wasn't common knowledge, but he does know that they are siblings. Which added a layer of complexity. Here in the anime, he seems like even more unsuspecting, but he did know the situation. It was just cut out from the anime. It's very hard for me to, because I usually like rivals, but it's frustrating to see how so many people shove them aside and the instance to get screenshot. Oh yeah, people were so mad about Masha. People are mad, like, who's this? Who's this person interrupting? And then people quickly realized that Masha was best girl. Just saying. The reason why Saki rejected Shinjo's confession, is it not obvious? Shinjo's quite popular with girls. He's a refreshing sportsman, fashionable and gentlemanly, and kind to girls. He's just like another attractive guy that Associate Professor Kudo mentioned. He's a very high-spec guy who's very considerate, and if you just look at the superficial aspects, has a similar level of consideration to Yuuta, and is also very smart. However, in fact, at this point in the original novel, Saki realizes that as she is talking to Shinjo, her mind is always centered on Yuuta. For example, she thinks about small differences such as how even though they are both good at being considerate, Shinjo is subtly different from Yuuta. Shinjo notices the small differences, such as how, even though they are both good at being considerate, she thinks about the small differences, Shinjo is subtly different from Yuuta. Shinjo notices the small details and makes sure that the heavy burden falls on him. However, although this is kind, it is not the kind of relationship Saki wants. I agree. You want someone who's willing to, like, split and work with you. You don't want someone who always feels like they have to take on the load. You want a partnership. I think guys sometimes make this mistake quite often, where they feel as if they have to go above and beyond and be like extra gentlemanly, extra chivalrous. And it's like, you can suggest stuff, you can offer to do things, but don't be afraid to also let your partner share the burden with you, and they'll appreciate that. Everyone's different, of course, but I throw that out there. Unsolicited thoughts from Leonard. Granted, this is my video, so I can kind of say whatever I want. But I digress. Still unsolicited. Saki once said, in give and take, give more, which is not just out of consideration for the other person, but also implies that it's easier for me that way. Yuuta doesn't try to take on too much of a burden himself. Basically, there you go, he respects what Saki wants to do, the way that she wants to do it, and takes a step back. On top of that, when Saki is about to be unable to bear the burden when she has given up too much, at those precise moments Yuuta steps in, strongly supports her. That is the most comfortable way for Saki to be supported. I fully agree. It might be easier to understand if you compare it to a game. It's no fun if someone says you're a beginner, so it's tough, isn't it? Don't worry, I'll help you. And helps you from start to finish. Yeah, sucks. It's more fun to play like that when you go in and try to die. Even there might be a trap there, driven by your own curiosity. You try and err until the very end, and only when you still can't move forward and it's too painful, you want them to tell you. That's the feeling. If Saki were streaming a game, I think she would absolutely hate people who just want to be told what to do. Facts. Facts. This is why some people like Akane too. Some people prefer someone who's going to share your burden instead of trying to actually take it from you. It's true. A person who's willing to share in your pain and work in a partnership, it goes a long way. It's different. I personally feel the same way. I mean, as a guy, it's a little different sometimes. But, you would prefer someone who, no, don't just take me along for the ride. I want to be able to do my own thing. I want to be able to, mess up. And I want to know that you're there to share the burden. We're working together. And that's good. It's nice. It's better that way. No one wants to be saddled with everything. I mean, some people do. I want to see Saki game streaming now. I would watch that. I would definitely watch Saki streaming. So although Shinjo is kind, I'm sure he is charming, Saki doesn't really feel right for him, and she realizes once again that she loves Yuuta and has feelings for him. Sorry guys. About Fujinami Kaho. Now this is the good stuff. Who is Fujinami Kaho, and why does she encourage Yuuta, whom she just met? In fact, Although there are hints scattered throughout the original novel, I have never clearly explained how she is. I have no intention of doing so either. Not explaining too much about her other side is also necessary in order to maintain the style of Gimai Seikatsu. Hey. Kaho was such a good character. Such a good character. For the short time we had her. And she was a rival, like, that's really hard to do. I mean, technically a rival. However, it would be a real pain to leave all of you who have enjoyed the TV anime up to this point, and all of you who are reading this mysterious document from the original author, without any information. So I'd like to reveal a little bit of the backstory setting of Fujinami Kaho that I have not mentioned until now. I think it's obvious even without being explained, but first of all, Fujinami Kaho is a former delinquent student and a runaway girl, yes. When she was in middle school, she lived in the middle of downtown, or even on the back streets, and she had relationships and actions that are by no means praiseworthy. She was in close contact with the filthy side of people and their desires, and she also had self-destructive desires, so she purposely put herself in dangerous places. Her pierced ears are a remnant of that time. She is also a person who rebelled, ran away, and vowed to live independently and live on her own after losing her parents and being placed with relatives she didn't like. I respect it. I mean, quite frankly, I wouldn't have liked those relatives either. For my parents to die, you'd be saying nonsense and disgusting stuff about them. I wouldn't like them either. James, just don't forget also, I told you, it was this tall, short hair. I knew it. I knew right away that it'd be the end. Thanks to his current adoptive parent, thanks to her? That's what you mean. Thanks to her current adoptive parent, Auntie, she has been rehabilitated and is trying to get back on the bright side. But that Auntie is also, in a way, close to the underworld. She's someone who reaches out to those who can only live in the gray zone. Fujinami Kaho, of course, exists as a solid individual, but she is also a character who alludes to what Yuuta and Saki would be like if there was no one to fill the void. Interesting. This one's like a foil. Yuuta and Saki have both lost one of their parents after going through experiences that caused them to lose faith in people. On the other hand, Fujinami Kaho lost both parents at the same time and had an experience that made her lose faith in people. Dang. Yuuta and Saki had the other parents still around, and by meeting each other through remarriage, the void was filled, and they were able to avoid taking a fatal step. However, Fujinami Kaho is someone who has once stepped into a different world. For Yuuta and Saki, it could be said that she has once experienced the most undesirable future. Of course, that doesn't mean she is completely unhappy. She recovered from that experience, and now she is studying hard with a philosophical perspective that comes from having had an extraordinary experience. So she will live a very good life from now on. So, Fujinami Kaho has lived such a life. Why does she support Yuuta? I wonder why her parents' marriage was opposed by all the relatives. I wonder if either the husband or the wife had a very suspicious background. There must have been something that caused the relatives to reject it. Now that I think about it, the conversations between Yuuta and Fujinami Kaho often took place in parallel with the conversations between Saki and Associate Professor Kudo, who would often talk about, as we know, obviously about like basically human roles in society and within the family and things like that. I wonder why they decided to delve into the topic of ethics at this point. I'll leave the rest to your imagination. But anyway, there was something about Fujinami Kaho's parents that was ethically repulsive to her relatives, and that's why they couldn't be on her side and became isolated. That may be why she tried to accept her relatives' scolding by saying it can't be helped. Her parents had their faults too, but deep down she loved them and felt angry when they scolded her. She finally came to honestly feel that her circumstances were not her parents' fault, but the fault of those around her who didn't accept her parents, even though it was selfish. This is why I want to be on the side of those relationships that are avoided by those around me on the grounds of ethics. Dang. Kyle looks so disconnected. I know she's fine, but she looks like someone who came from a trauma and is still passing through it. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think some of that, I think she's recovering. And I don't want to think she looks disconnected. Stepsister, 8 out of 10 show. I take your 8 out of 10 and I raise the 10 out of 10. Solid 10 out of 10. For Days of My Stepsister. Is it 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10? 10 out of 10. I think we're going to have Alia. I think I have Alia. Alia for me was like a very good 9 out of 10. I think this is a 10 out of 10 show. Do I remember this show? Isn't this Akebi? Of course I remember Akebi. Seven and a half to 8 out of 10. I will give it a 9. Good old Akebi. I'll still give it a 9. I think at worst, is that what I gave it? I don't do ratings like that, but I believe so. I definitely give this a 10 out of 10. As I said, from end to end, I think this was honestly like perfect for me. There's nothing this show could have done more, in my personal opinion. If I even went down to like an 8.5, if I really think about it, because there are just some moments that are kind of like slow. But yeah, I'd say Alia a very solid 8.5 to 9. But this to me is like 10 out of 10, because there's literally, to me, there's nothing I could have changed in this show personally to make it better. Is a good way that I try to think about it. The story itself was great. The execution was outstanding. There's literally nothing I could do to change the show and make it better. Oh, because of the slideshow moments in early episodes. That's fair. That's understandable. But I'll tell you this. There's some series that can get away with it. Because of the type of series this is, it can get away with it. But anyway, where was that? I lost where I was. I'll leave the rest to your imagination, but anyway, there was something about Fujinami Kao's parents that was ethically... I read this already. This part. No matter what you do, you can't help but expect it. I think people who cannot understand the feelings of Yuuta, Saki, Fujinami Kao at all are truly lucky. I guess so. That's funny. We don't talk about Classroom Elite Season 3. I think that people who have been hurt a lot or have had experiences that made them not want to trust others can easily understand the feelings of defending oneself by not expecting anything from others. Raising my hand, fully agree. Fully agree. That's me. However, it is really difficult to reach the state of not having expectations in the true sense of the word. It is a state that can only be reached through a long life experience or amongst long training. Even if ordinary people are conscious of not having any expectations, deep down they will still have expectations. Agreed. I believe that director Ueno used this conclusion as the message for the entire season of the anime and constructed every scene around it. You can't give Classroom Elite a 3 out of 10. That's wild. Classroom Elite was a solid 6 out of 10. Could have been so much better, still had great moments. The series of events following Yuta's confession. Let's get to this one. Ooh. Now, this is my favorite scene in the TV anime Gimai Seikatsu after episode 9. Oh yeah, Odyssey was top tier. But I did not like the ending. And there are good points, but I give it a 6. There are parts of Classroom Elite that really just annoyed me. Still very enjoyable though. I loved every single scene. It made my heart pound. It made me feel relieved, and it even brought tears to my eyes. Guys, honestly, because you saw I was getting like tears in my eyes. I was hitting. I'm so shocked, pleasantly, that I didn't just burst into tears. Because it was coming. I was trying to hold it back. I was holding it back, and I did a pretty good job. But then it's just like, as Yuta was doing the confession, and then Saki breaking down, like, the tears were welling up, and I was like, I can't do this. Oh my gosh. The story is almost the same as the original novel, but there are some parts that are unique to the TV anime. After Saki retorts that Yuta's feelings are not romantic, which was trash on her part. in my opinion, but I digress. I get why she did it. I was just like, dang. Like when she was saying like, no, it's just brother and sister. No, you're wrong. I was just like, bro, it's pouring his heart out. Don't do this. I get what you're trying to do, but please stop. It hurt me. Yuta's at a loss for words to refute. In the original novel, the conversation ends after this point, and it's time to go to school. Yuuta chases Saki, who's about to leave the house first, to the front door, where Saki mutters, "I don't hate it," and takes Yuta's hand and leads him to her room. Oh! That seems more natural. Hold on. And it's time to go to school. Yuuta chases Saki, who's about to leave the house first, to the front door, where Saki mutters, "I don't hate it," and takes Yuta's hand and leads him to her room. I don't know what I like better. However, in the TV anime, Saki asks, "Is it even possible that your feelings for your sister are just coming out a little too strongly?" And the scene that Yuuta goes silent, she says, "I'm sorry," runs away to her room. This gives Yuuta another challenge in the TV anime, how to deal with Saki when her door is closed. I thought that was really good. I can 100% see where the novel is going, but it's so true that her going, like, that was suspenseful. It was just like, bro has to now reach another level after he just opened up to really have patience and try to still reach out to her at the time where Saki's fragile and literally closing her doors. How do you get her to open the doors back up? I'm doing like a drop down door, like do, as opposed to. I digress. Good question. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Question on Twitch was, I wonder how much of the light novel shows that get adaptations have anime original scenes. It's a very good question. I'm certainly sure there are. But it takes a lot to be able to take, because I think it's easier to just adapt what's in the novel. I really do. And not flow well. It takes skill and it takes care to now take what's in the novel or in a manga and create an original scene that enhances the experience. Again, I always say this with Haikyuu. Like, the Haikyuu movie did this such great. Like, reading the manga versus watching Haikyuu movie, the added scenes in that were so amazing. And hit so differently because of the fact that you have film and you could see it. Oh. I want so much to read something like this here, but about Spice and Wolf. That would be cool. I hope we get another. I hope Spice and Wolf continues. I really do. This gives you to another challenge in TV anime. How to deal with Saki when her door is closed. By the way, do you remember in my commentary on episode 6, I wrote that in this work, the closed room is a metaphor for the brain inside the head. I do recall. No, I don't actually. I lied. Closed rooms are often the place where the two characters make deep rather than superficial compromises. In this episode, of course, it takes place in Saki's room, a more personal space for Saki. In light of that, Saki tries to run away in response to Yuta's confession and shut herself in her head, thinking about many things. Yuta gently, or perhaps timidly, I say timidly, knocks on Saki's heart, grits his teeth when he receives no reply, and begins to regret his confession. I literally felt so bad. This is where the tears were coming. Yeah, because it's so long. I can only remember but so much, man. This sequence right before the door opens emphasizes that they're about to delve deeper into each other and get to grips with each other. Considering that this is the climax of the first core season, I think it was a wonderful performance. I like this. Considering this is the climax of the first core season, I think it was a wonderful performance. Is this giving us hope of a second season? Is this hope? I'm highlighting this. Don't forget this, guys. The sound of the knock on the door is also amazing. Yes, because it was so subtle. Yuta knocks, and a short while after, Saki knocks softly back. It's not just a sound. Neither of them say a single word, but they are acting. I love this delicate expression. I think it was a subtle but brilliant display of skill. It was so good. No, it isn't. I'm just saying. Never know. Never know. This was actually like, because I remember when watching the episode, like my tears are welling up at this point. When all you hear is the little knock after he knocked. I was just like, oh, he got through to her. He's getting through to her. Oh my gosh. I think if a season 2 was going to happen, they'd have announced already. No, I disagree. It takes time. Think of all the times we've had series where season 2 gets announced much later. So just because it doesn't get announced right away, if they announce it right away, that just means that they were already going to put in production. So to me, that's different. If you don't get an announcement right away, it doesn't mean that you will not get a season 2. But what it means is that they're looking at the sales, they're looking at all the other information, and they're determining whether or not it's something that is going to make sense to pursue. So the popularity of the show will matter massively. Just my thoughts. The sound of the knock on the door is also amazing. I already read this. Oh, we got season 1 and season 2 the same year. I agree. That was different. It's very rare to get that. The original expression in the TV anime continues after this. He is dragged into Saki's room, hugged, and asked, "Are you relieved?" And then there is a scene where they discuss what kind of relationship they should settle on. Saki is unable to finish what she has to say and bursts into tears. She doesn't cry here in the original novel. Interesting. Just look at Classmate Elite Season 4. Yep, that's a good example. I have said before that I wrote Gimai Seikatsu with the assumption that Yuuta and Saki are real people and that I was just writing an autobiographical novel. I also said that director Ueno observed the two of them and made the TV anime out of them. I think this is reflected in the difference between Saki's emotions, or how Saki's emotions are portrayed in the original novel and the TV anime. Saki, as I saw her through my own filter, wasn't crying, but as I saw her through director Ueno's eyes, she was crying. That's how it was. Or so I thought. When I asked director Ueno, later he told me that he also didn't think Saki was supposed to cry at this moment in the first place. He said that as he was cutting the storyboard, the tears just came naturally. Gimai Seikatsu has avoided expressions that suggest one-sided views or emotions on the part of the viewer. This is the true of the original novel and the TV anime. So the tears were intentionally shed because is the final episode, so let's make it emotional, or is the climax, so it's better to make them cry. I would have felt uncomfortable. I wouldn't complain that it's different from the original, but I had just felt, oh, it's different. I don't think I would have been so hooked on the TV anime version of Gimai Seikatsu. However, Saki's tears were too natural. Saki, who has certainly been portrayed in the TV anime from episode 1 to 11 through director Ueno's filter, is crying in the scene in the episode. I agree. To me, I didn't think that her crying felt unnatural at all. The fact that she closed herself off and you see how painful this is. Because remember what she has done to lock these feelings away. And now they're coming out. They're cracking out. This, it just felt right that she's spilling out emotion. I still remember, that was my favorite scene. I rewatched it again, guys. I was on the train, I rewatched. To see when she's just well, we can't tell anyone, but just for us, we can be each other's person. And then she's trying to really rationalize it. Special person. And she's trying to get to that point where she says it. And it's too much. It's too much emotion that pours out. It was beautiful. So it felt perfectly right. Saki cried because... There we go. Good enough. Saki cried because she was meant to cry, without any intention or forced suggestion to make the viewer cry. That's why, even though it's a different expression from the original novel, I think I, the original author, was able to accept this turn of events comfortably and was moved by it. I have high expectations from now on. I have high expectations. From now on, I will have high expectations of you, Ayase-san, so I hope you'll have high expectations of me too. Yuuta spoke these words as he timidly held Saki's hand, such kind and reassuring words. By the way, this line is also original to the TV anime. It is a necessary collection of lines to make the anime core whole, but here too, it is clear that they tried to draw on as much of the novel as possible, rather than simply summarizing it for the sake of the anime. In the original novel, when he hears Fujinami Kaho's story, he thinks the following: "You're a human being too, huh?" What came to my mind was the conversation I had the first night I met Ayase-san. That was the first thing Ayase said when we were alone that day. "I expect nothing from you, so you should expect nothing from me." I remember the searching look on Ayase's face at the same time. She said that to me, who lived with her, and I felt very relieved when I heard her words, because I thought she was just like me. Depending on how it was heard, those words could have been extremely rude to say to someone you just met, and could have caused offense. But she still chose to blurt them out anyway, as if to try and find out what my true intentions were. Maybe I just couldn't see it. Did she really not expect anything? And the words come back to me. I thought my dad was just getting married. That was what I was trying to think. Was I really expecting nothing? So there's a quote from Gimai Seikatsu Volume 4, pages 222 to 223. Look at Twitch chat. Saki, realizing her feelings, decides to seal it. Someone tells her it might not be love. Starts to accept herself as Imoto. Dude confesses. Oof, gut punch. Facts. I'm telling you, I really feel for her. Like, think of what we know this. We saw her thoughts. What she went through to get to the point of sealing her emotions, and almost immediately, the moment he confessed, and when she let Asamura-san like come back out, it was like oof. Like you could tell she was breaking. The facade was breaking, and it's like she was trying to put it back in, and it's just leaking out. Oh man. Let's keep going. In the original novel, one of the reasons why Yuta decides to confess is because he remembers his first promise with Saki. Expectations equals the other person. Expectations equals expecting the other person to show you the love you want. Expecting that you'll be forgiven, even if you force your feelings on them. At first, they drew a line by promising each other not to do that, trying to avoid the possibility of being hurt by having their expectations betrayed. But now they want to have expectations of each other. So they suggest that it's okay to have expectations. That's the flow of emotions in the original novel. Although he didn't say the line, I have high expectations of Ayase, so I want you to have high expectations of me. Emotionally, it could be said that Yuta in the original novel is thinking similar things to what is happening in the TV anime and taking a step forward. For a split second, I thought she was also crying of relief. When you know the other person also loves you, this is touching to say the least. It would not have shocked me if that were the case. I didn't see it that way initially. Initially, I saw it as like, oh my gosh, and it was just like, no, this can't. Like, it felt more pain to me as she's come to realization. But no, it could definitely have been, or at least I would have thought about it for a second. The idea of just having that relief, like, oh, he likes me too. Would have been appropriate. This is another aspect that makes the climax of the TV anime Gimai Seikatsu feel more than just original to the anime. How much more do I have? Oh, we're almost done. Shoot. Alright, we're almost done, guys. And then we're going to get out of here. And sure enough, it's already been 38 minutes. I said on Twitch earlier that if I did this, it would take me at least 40 minutes. And I'm already approaching 40 minutes. So I guess I was pretty good with that. And the blank subtitles seem to have caused quite a stir among the viewers. It was fun to watch everyone speculate on what it meant and whether it applied to anything or not. If you've watched episode 12, you may already have guessed, but the correct answer here is both tomorrow, and the literal translation, and, of course. I already got that because obviously if you watched episode 12, you saw they said the tomorrow, yeah. The conclusion that Yuta and Saki reached through the 12 episodes was a relationship that is neither lovers nor siblings, or a relationship that is both lovers and siblings. If I had to say, it would be as particularly close step brother and sister. Let's form a relationship that cannot be labeled. I understand that this blank space symbolizes a relationship that cannot be named. And then the word buried at the very end, tomorrow and tomorrow, day after day. I think this is a message from director Uno to Yuta and Saki, wishing that their tomorrows will continue to intertwine forever. I think these words were written with the hope that their life together will continue on, and that it will remain that way. Big spoiler. Do I want to read this? Do I want to click this? I don't know if I want to click this. She didn't describe the nature of the spoiler. I'm like about to like open it on the side. No, actually, I take it back. I don't want to look at this. I don't want to see the spoiler. I will pass. I will wait till I read. Unless you're saying it's not a big spoiler. But if you're saying big spoiler, which you usually don't do, it's an image. Yeah, but once you say big spoiler, you usually don't say big spoiler, so now I'm worried. So I do not think I want to see it. I do intend on reading, so I'll stay spoiler free. What is big to me? It depends on the nature of their does it relate to their relationship? If it has anything to do with their relationship, or if it has something to do with like something with the parents, anything that involves their relationship, I do not want to see because of how ambiguous the ending technically was. So if it spoils anything, their relationship or the relationship with their parents, I don't want to see it. Then I'm not. Now I will not open it. Then I'll stay hidden. Anyway, and then the words buried at the end. Okay, I already read that. I think these words. Okay, so now I'm up to episodes 1 to 12 of Stepsister. By the way, what I disagree here, if I had to say it, oh, you can't see my screen. Sorry. What I kind of disagree with, but I also kind of agree. Emmy, you clicked. Was it a big spoiler? Was it a big spoiler? Don't tell me and don't spoil it, please. Don't spoil it in the chat. I don't ask for a lot. Please do not spoil me. Just let me know, was it actually a big spoiler? If it was a big spoiler, I can't even ban James because James did say big spoiler, so I can't even ban him. He gave full warning. Oh my gosh. That's the only reason I paused, because like usually James doesn't say big spoiler. Usually James says like spoiler, or says, I'll just click on this, you'll be fine. Not a big deal. He said big, and I was like, Don't recommend clicking on it, then I will not click on it. Lovely. Oh man. If I had to say that it would be, this is the part I disagree with. If I had to say it would be as a particularly close stepbrother and sister, let's form a relationship that cannot be labeled. I understand that this blank space symbolizes a relationship that cannot be named. What I got from, again, that scene in the anime, I get what the author's trying to say. Maybe this is a translation thing about close stepbrother and sister. I took it as we're not brother and sister. Purely. Yeah, we're stepbrother and sister, but it's not like I don't want this. I'm going to disagree with the author. And I think the author's trying to lead us. I think this is a leading comment. I think the author knows what they're doing sometimes. I think sometimes they're leading comments as they get their thoughts and attempt not to spoil. To me, clearly, when I was watching the anime, it's this whole Nissan and blah, 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 and just strictly brother and sister is a no. Basaki's clearly come to the realization of Yuta's feelings and her feelings, and that there's something more. But they don't say that they're dating. They don't say that they're boyfriend or girlfriend. So this part is correct, that there's a relationship that cannot be named. A closeness and a supporting relationship that they're establishing. But the fact that they need to carry these burdens of support and lean on one another is precisely why this is beyond just stepbrother and sister, because it's insinuating that there's romantic developments that are there between them that have been established, and the reason that they're going to need to support each other, and the reason why they have to keep this facade, which is the key part, the facade of brother and sister, is that things are going to get rough and they're going into territory that could be very much so ethically frowned upon. Yeah, bro, I hated the Nissan. If every time I heard Nissan, I got so angry. Like, it was honestly beautiful when she just slipped and said Asamura, and I was like, oh. Even he was like, huh? What? I was like, about time. Okay, let's finish this off, everybody. Episodes 1 to 12 is single story. Lastly, the TV anime Gimai Seikatsu is a standalone work consisting of one season from episodes 1 to episode 12. As the original author, I watched all 12 episodes together in advance on the shared film Shirobako before the broadcast. Thanks to that, I was able to enjoy the creativity director Ueno and the anime production team put into it in the most ideal way possible. From episodes 1 to 3, we meet the mysterious and somewhat dangerous Ayase Saki. From episodes 4 to 6, Yuta's old and new relationships mix together, and we sense the signs of big changes. From 7 to 9, we are disturbed by the growing emotions. From episodes 1 to 8, Saki's childish side is gradually imprinted on us until it explodes in episode 9. From episodes 10 to 11, Yuuta and Saki explore their new relationship and confront wherever their feelings are real. And in episode 12, it all comes to fruition. It's beautiful, guys. This is why I say that this was a masterpiece. All of this flows together beautifully, making for an amazing viewing experience. I highly recommend if you've just rewatching the series from beginning to end. And I promise you, if you like the series, not that I've done this yet, your appreciation of it will grow up tenfold. Because when I say that this is 10 out of 10, I couldn't change anything about it. The flow of how this was structured, and leave it to Arthur, by the way. The structure and the flow of this story, and then how the director brought it together in the cast, there's nothing to improve. It's perfect. It is borderline perfect how everything flowed. It's pacing, flow, amazing. Absolutely amazing. Oh, and literally, I'm saying the same thing. In fact, after I finished watching episode 12 of the Shirobako, I was so moved that my mind went back to my teenage years, and I told my editor, if this makes you feel uncomfortable, you don't have to send it out. But if it seems okay, please send it to the anime team. And he sent a long message of my thoughts and gratitude to the anime production team. My motivation for writing long commentaries and impressions during the broadcast period was an extension of the emotional momentum I felt at the time. I would encourage anyone who enjoyed the series to watch it all together as well as the TV broadcast. That's it. That's what I'm saying. Furthermore, as the original author and as a fan of Gimai Seikatsu, I would be delighted if you would keep this wonderful video work close to you in various forms and make it one of the precious memories of your life. I will buy it. This was the final episode of the TV anime, but the original novel, comic book version, and YouTube are still continuing. Yes. If you're interested in what the future holds for Yuuta and Saki, or if you missed them, please check out the other media outlets for Gimai Seikatsu. Yes. Thank you to everyone who has read my lengthy commentary and impressions up to this point. It makes me sad to think that there won't be any more from next week. Or rather, I can't stop writing this article because I feel reluctant to do so. But if I keep going like this, the article will never end. So I'll stop here. Amazing. It sounds like the author is not at all anticipating any further anime adaptation. Am I reading his words wrong? Not necessarily. I think it's just ambiguous up there. It depends on how the series goes. Again, the design of this series was knowing that if we're going to make this, it's going to be a standalone thing. Now, if the sales are good and if there's momentum and people want this, then they have the ability, because of content, to still do a season 2. Because there's still more to come. But when they went into this not knowing anything, how this would be successful, if it will be successful initially, yeah, they planned this and they storyboarded this as literally this would be a good standalone 1 to 12 series, and then you'd feel complete. I definitely am going to miss the commentaries. Oh my gosh. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, guys. We're done. Kill the music. We're done. I'm going to end this one here. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you're going to miss Gimai Seikatsu, I know I will certainly. I really am, man. Did I join? Yeah, I did. I'm really going to miss this. I truly am. But anyway, guys, we're going to end this one here. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Tomorrow. Whoops. Anyway, like the video if you like the video, subscribe if you like my content. It is greatly appreciated as always. And with that, I'm Leonard and I am out. Take care, everybody, and of course, have a good one.